The Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine is back here for this season, and each and every one of these cars are about to head out on to the circuit here today. The Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine is back. Now, if you missed yesterday's stream that I did, there was quite a hefty incident at the top of the circuit at Spa-Francorchamps, and it was to the point where we actually had to cancel the qualifying session. Welcome back to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, race 1 from the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Spa, 7,000 meters of circuit, 7 kilometers of absolute action. Now I'm actually having to look at it through my book here because I want the kilometers of the circuit here. But Spa-Francorchamps, 4.3 miles, 7 kilometers in actual race distance. Of course, this circuit was opened back in 1924, and I've been racing here for about something like 70 years or something like that. So this circuit has been open for quite a while, and it's home to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Of course, been racing, the FRECA Championship has been racing here for nearly 4 years up to this point, and there are 19 corners, and there are 19 very difficult corners. Now, how yesterday's qualifying will work off, it will be working off the results from test session 1. So Freddie Slater on pole position, 2 minute 11.031, followed by Enzo Deligny, 2 minute 11.1, Keen Nakamura Berta, 2 minute 11.2, Matteo Tapalo, Evan Gilter, 5th, Nikita Bedrin in P6, followed by Akshay Bora in P7, Nandan Budbirambakti in P8, Enzo Peugeot in P9, Hiyu Yamakashi in P10, Jack Beaton, the Aussie, in P11, Rachel Deheri in P12. So it's quite tight between the top 12 cars. They're separated by less than 0.6 of a second. Pedro Claro in P13, Michael Belov in P14, Giannafi Mascio in P15, Tatio Kato in P16, Kanato Lei in P17, Machio Capati in P19, Ricky Liu in P20, Dario Pan down in P21 on a 2 minute 12.1, Kalakani, who ended up in the accident yesterday, 2 minute 12.2, Tim Gerhard in P24, Edouard Bona in P25, Saka Almori in P26, Arthur Alger in P27, Ri Hang Ye, who didn't set a time in the collective test 1 yesterday. We're going to finally get some action here for the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. It's 30 minutes, and Freddie Slater on pole position here. So Freddie Slater gets the run down to turn 1, and he'll hopefully try and convert as you run up into turn 2 and turn 3. Of course, overtaking opportunities around this circuit, turn 1, followed by, if you can do it, turn 18, do it turn 5, turn 18, and turn 1. So 3 passing opportunities around this circuit. We're about to get the formation lap underway. Hopefully we can stay green because it's a 10-lap race, 30 minutes of absolute racing. Hopefully we can stay green for most of these races. The formation lap gets underway, and Freddie Slater will lead us off for the formation lap here. Now this is important. Get the tyres up to temperature. You will have a few spare sets of tyres. Of course, Freddie Slater has the tyres under him. He didn't end up going out in qualifying Group B yesterday because of the accident that had coincidentally happened. But the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine is back here at Spa-Francorchamps here this weekend. This is going to be quite the race. Can Freddie Slater turn a pole into a win? That is the real question here. Now, there is a car stopped at just before you hit turn 2 here. So that might be a problem. He stopped. Now, that's Enzo Peugeot. The RPM of Enzo Peugeot is stopped on the left-hand side down there. He's able to actually get that car moving. That's always a good sign. But Enzo Peugeot now will be starting from the spot where he rejoined. So he will not be starting from the spot where he was actually allocated. So that's a free spot in front of Enzo Peugeot. The person who's actually starting in front of Enzo Peugeot gets that free position. But this is going to be a good race. Hopefully we can get some good action for the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. This circuit laid out here, the local hero. Belgian fans love this circuit. It became popular back in 1998. It was remarkable for many reasons. 13 drivers being involved in a first corner accident. Damon Hill taking the lead, which is making it exciting. This circuit, of course, previous winners in terms of Formula 1 drivers around this circuit: Daniel Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg back in 2016. Lewis Hamilton has the most wins around this circuit. Of course, Max Verstappen has won this 3 years in a row: 2021, 2022, 2023. Max Verstappen, the home of this circuit. But, of course, Freddie Slater, pole for the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. He's going to be wanting to convert that quite simply. Enzo Peugeot trying to get back up to his starting position. That will most likely get some temperature into the Pirelli rubber that he has. Will be getting some nice temperature into the Pirelli rubber here. But the driver's now coming back around into turn 18 and turn 19, the chicane. Come back around there and the starting grid right there, and then we will go racing. Fastest time in collective test 1, 2 minute 11.0. Of course, we saw Nakamura Berta down a 2 minute 11.4. So the track was ramped up in qualifying. We just weren't able to see the fast times go down. So Freddie Slater takes pole position from collective test 1. Lucky for him. Lucky for him indeed. Let's see, as the rest of the cars come around, get some temperature into the rear tyres, trying to out-traction the person next to you, see what you can do around this circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps here this weekend. Green flag waves at the back of the grid. It's 4, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. And the car stalled off the line. Does everybody get around him? There's actually 2 of them that are stalled. As Freddie Slater gets a beautiful jump off the line. Everybody seems to file down into turn 1 quite nicely. Does anybody end up in the gravel on the right-hand side? Yes, someone does. That is the commentator's curse right there. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Everybody gets through. Slater, beautiful start off the line. He gets away perfectly. Being pressured in behind Freddie Slater. It's side by side from Deligny, Enzo Deligny, side by side with Freddie Slater. Slater ends up giving that up to Paolo behind Slater. Looks up the inside. Slater keeps the position. So far, all rolling smoothly. Not a bad start from every one of those drivers. A car trundling over a curb. Not sure that will have done a bit of floor damage if he did hit that curb. But Freddie Slater gives off the position on lap 1. Car up the inside there, one of the Prema cars being looked up on the inside of. That is one of the AIX cars there. But Enzo Peugeot was able to get back up to P5 through that formation lap. It's 3 wide as they head in through the top part of the circuit. 3 wide. Action going on there. This is battle for P12 Belov and Mashior having a bit of a battle here. But Yamakashi as well, he's moved up. He's moved himself up into P7 from a bit further back down the grid, so it's a good start. Capito being pushed down the field. Has he gone off? He's back down in P27, but side by side, yes, he has. That's the number 9 of Capitapio. He's down in the gravel for CL Motorsport, and it is a safety car. Safety car here now. These two that are battling just behind. Oh, just make it through. No overtaking under safety car. Safety car conditions here. Enzo Deligny leads over Freddie Slater, De Paolo, Enzo Peugeot, Akshay Bora, Yamakashi, Aldaheri, Birimbakti in P9, and Claro in P10. Jack Beaton outside the top 10. Enzo Lay. Enzo Yay outside there. Ooh, big off. Big off. And has he actually hit the barrier? He might have. No, he didn't. He didn't end up hitting the barrier. But Enzo Deligny leads this race over Freddie Slater. Slater probably won't be happy with that start. Diane Pan moved up 2 spots as well. Nikita Bedrin dropped down a few spots. So Nikita Bedrin dropped back to P25 on that one. But the first safety car, hopefully the only safety car that we get. Enzo Deligny up 1. Nakamura Berta down 20 spots. Birimbakti down 1. Ki Nakamura Berta, who was on provisional pole in qualifying, ended up finding out that it was off collective test 1 that you get pole position for here, but Nakamura Berta, who have the pleasure of taking Q1 there. Of course, I'll be streaming qualifying practice 2 a bit later on today. Of course, that is after Formula 1 qualifying. Enzo Deligny leading this race under safety car here. Hopefully we can get back to some green flag racing. Of course, this circuit being 2 minutes and 11 seconds long around here, you don't get much time for some racing. And on the safety car, it just cuts the time down just that little bit more. We're on lap 2. So we're going to get, I'm going to guess, another 9-10 laps out of this race if we don't have another safety car. If we don't have another safety car, then we should be good. But Enzo Deligny leads this race over Freddie Slater and De Paolo in P3. But the Alpine safety car leading us around here as they run through the top part of the circuit, running through this 4.3 mile circuit, 7 kilometers in length, and probably in terms of rating, one of the hardest circuits these drivers will ever go to. Enzo Deligny keeping that. He was able to pass Freddie Slater off the line, and he's now in P1. P1. Didn't start on pole, but he started next to Freddie Slater. It was important that he actually overtook Slater off the line. And I'm not about to say it because there's pit stops, because there is no pit stops here in this one. But hopefully, maybe probably next lap around. And then next lap around, we might be getting a green flag here. We might be going green flag racing. Next lap around for the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. In terms of the collective tests, Freddie Slater took collective test 1. Collective test 2, Nikita Bedrin is currently down in P25. Collective test 2, 2 minute 11.1. Collective test 1, 2 minute 11.0. And there you go, safety car in this lap. So we'll be going back green flag this time around. But Freddie Slater, 2 minute 11.0 in collective test 1, collective test 2, went to Nikita Bedrin. I'm going to run through those collective tests. Freddie Slater took the session out there, but best qualifying position so far this year for these drivers, especially for people like Enzo Deligny. Best qualifying so far. Akamo Alberta as well, who dropped down a few spots. He's actually down to P23 in terms of that. In terms of the rookies though, in collective test 1, it was Dion Gowder, who at the moment, Dion Gowder, Tim Gerhard, Bogner, and Arthur Agota, who is sitting P26 at the moment. Dion Gowder leads the rookie race at the moment. He's sitting down in P15. P15 at the moment. He's in the number 20 car. Gerhard back in P21. So Dion Gowder could have the rookie championship lit up and alive for everybody out there. But collective test 1 here was good from everybody there. But the safety car is in this lap. It's good to see there that we were able to get that packed up quite simply. Funnily enough, Nikita Bedrin took collective test 2. Enzo Deligny will lead us away. When does he go? He goes now. Enzo Deligny runs up into the chicane, and no overtaking until the timing line. Keep an eye on that there. No overlapping, no overtaking until the timing line. And the timing line is there. Freddie Slater pulls out. He's not going to pull it out on Enzo Deligny this lap around. But we're back to green flag racing. A bit of overlapping there as they head down into turn number 1. Make your way up through the fast left and right. They all funnel their way up. Enzo Deligny leads this race over Freddie Slater, DePaolo, Giltaire, who at the moment is under a bit of pressure. Enzo Peugeot in behind him. Around the outside there, that's the number 22. Number 22 has just made contact there. That is the number 22 machine of Claro and Jack Peyton coming together. Claro and Jack Peyton comes together. And a bit of contact has put Pedro Claro out of contention in this race. He was inside the top 10. Baron Bakti now has a bit of a gap. Back to Belov, Enzo Lay, Kato, Gowder. But that is substantial contact, and we're lucky not to have another safety car there. But Claro was able to hold on to that one and not put it in the gravel. Deligny pulling away here from Freddie Slater, the Italian F4 champion last year. That margin just over half a second. Sorry, that was Baron Bakti and Claro coming together, not Jack Beaton. And that is Pedro Claro to make his weekend just that little bit worse. And he brings a bunch of gravel onto the circuit there, Pedro Claro. He will not be happy with that. Definitely not. Peugeot and Akshay Bora having a bit of a battle. The two teammates using each other's slipstream to their advantage as that is the number 20 pulling out of Jack Beaton. This is what happened. So, up the inside from Nakamura Berta, and ends up spinning Pedro Claro around in the... Oh, that is really disappointing. Just been spun around, and he was an innocent bystander in that one. Freddie Slater putting a bit of pressure on Enzo Deligny. Looked around the outside. Meanwhile, Akshay Bora and Peugeot being pushed off the road. Akshay Bora has just... Well, Peugeot there. He's going to have to probably give that position back to Akshay Bora because he practically cut the corner. He's going to have to give that position back. But Akshay Bora and Peugeot having a bit of a battle there. But he practically cut the corner. Meanwhile, Deligny and Slater, that margin's dropped to 0.1 of a second. It is tight between those two. I'm going to try and get a shot of those two. There they are. Deligny and Slater. Pulling out is Akshay Bora around the outside from Akshay Bora on Peugeot. And he gets the move done. That battle continuing to... There you go. Akshay Bora's moved down to P7. It's been overtaken by Yamakashi as well. Yamakashi was able to pull in with all that. He was able to take advantage of that. It's side by side between two drivers as they come up the back straight. Side by side. No room left between the two. They leave racing room. And it seems as if that move is successfully done. Dion Gowda leads the rookie race at the moment. It is between... Oh, moving left and right is Yamakashi as he looked up the inside. Yamakashi really having to cover this position. Akshay Bora and Peugeot battling. They have been all race long. Kanato Lay, fastest lap of the race. He's down in P19. The number 19, Kanato Lay, 2:11.8. So, shows how quick he is at the moment. Meanwhile, Enzo Deligny and Freddie Slater side by side. Slater, he's going to hang it around the outside. They're still side by side. Slater cuts the corner. Slater gains the advantage. He's going to have to give that back. Deligny and Slater battling. Deligny will not be happy with that. Slater gives the position back. Good job. But he's going to want to fight that as he comes back around. This is turn 9. Comes back around to turn 9. He tried to fight that position. I don't think it worked. Enzo Deligny having a good scrap between those two. It's lap 5 here. And you can see there De Paolo as well. Just sitting in behind that barrel pack. He's about 0.7 back. That margin's just continuing to drop. Freddie Slater might use the best of the grip that he has available in the Pirelli rubber. Watch out for Akshay Bora and Enzo Peugeot as well. They're still battling. So, Akshay Bora, Enzo Deligny, Freddie Slater, and Matteo De Paolo. Bit of a battle pack going on there between those three. Any three of those young kids can win this race. Deligny pulling up lead, but it's not much. It's 0.6 as they head up through the chicane. The margin drops 0.2 now with 15 minutes to go in this race. Deligny, that margin 0.6 of a second back to Slater. He's using as much grip as he could possibly get out of these Pirelli tyres to try and pull a gap. That margin on that pushed back down to 0.3. There's a few cars running wide back there at the chicane. Meanwhile, Aldeheri looked up the inside of Enzo Peugeot. They're going to be running side by side. That battle coming down between Enzo Deligny and Freddie Slater. This is Peugeot and Aldeheri. They run side by side. They're not going to run side by side down the straight. But Aldeheri has a slipstream. He's going to go side by side. Enzo Peugeot, Rash Aldeheri, and Jack Beaton, who's just sitting in behind. He's going to want a bit of this. side by side. It's not going to happen. Jack Beaton is there in the Prema. You can easily overtake him. He's going to look around the outside. Jack Beaton's not going to get the move done. They're going to still run side by side. There you go. So now it's just calmed down. And just behind that, it's Lee as well. Lee's just in behind that. And Carter and Belov as well. So it's turning into a bit of a six-way battle pack between those six drivers. And so Peugeot, way back down to, I think now, Diane Pan. So that's, no, sorry, it's back down to Machio. Machio, way back down to him. And so Peugeot being just able to hold on to that. Akshay Bor just pulled away a little bit. That margin, 0.8 of a second. I reckon it's soon to be about a second between those two. The margin between Deligny and Slater has also dropped. Aldaheri, I think he just got that move done. No, he didn't. So Aldaheri's now pulled away from Akshay Bora. Meanwhile, Freddie Slater, he wants to get this move done. He's got 12 minutes to do it. He's got about 6-7 more laps left in this race. Now he's going to get a good slipstream here. Now that margin's closed back to 0.6. Meanwhile, side by side between Jack Beaton and Enzo Peugeot. I think Beaton might have got that. Meanwhile, Aldaheri's pulling away. He's now out to 1.1 seconds. Jack Beaton and Enzo Peugeot battling. Deligny and Slater, 0.4 of a second that margin as they make their way up the hill. Bit of a bad run from Deligny. They're side by side between Deligny and Slater as they come off turn 3. Make their way up, and it's going to be a slipstream. Slater trying to break that slipstream. I think he might have done it. Deligny. Look to the outside. Slater covers. Slater has got the move done as they run up into turn 4. Turn 5 right here. Slater takes the position off Enzo Deligny, and it's a new change for the lead once again. So a bit of pace, a bit more pace than what we were expecting from Freddie Slater. He always had pace heading into this race, and he's shown it once again. So Enzo Peugeot has just been overtaken by Lay as well. He's dropped down to P10, struggling for grip in those Pirelli tyres. Jack Beaton now, he's going to want to chase after Aldaheri, and Aldaheri's going to want to chase after Enzo Peugeot. He's 2.1 seconds up the road. Aldaheri's going to want to chase after Akshay Bora, who's 2.1 seconds up the road. Sorry, 1 second up the road. And then Yamakashi's 2.1 seconds up the road from Akshay Bora. So, running away with this is Freddie Slater. Margin 0.7. Will that margin drop any more with 10 minutes to go in this race? Plenty of time for more action to unfold here as the Paolo's just closing up on Deligny. Maybe doesn't have the pace of Freddie Slater, and De Paolo just closing up the Primo teammate of Slater. De Paolo pulling in there you go. That's Jack Beaton and Aldaheri. Yamakashi kept the move. The move was open there for Aldaheri. Yeah, this battle is just brewing just ever so slightly. This is Peugeot trying to get back. This is Kato and Peugeot. They're having a bit of a battle as they run up the top of the hill. Battle for 4th and 5th between Yamakashi. Looks around the outside. It's been pushed off. Gilter's been pushed off by Yamakashi off the road. Not on the gravel trap though. He's pushed off. That is a definite. Meanwhile, between these two, Hiyu Yamakashi and Evan Gilter. This is 4P4 on the road. The number 6 and the number 95. Both in an intense battle pack. Yamakashi, though, he lost time that lap because of the battling to De Paolo. what Yamakoshi, on his mind, he'll be thinking about Gilter behind him and Paolo in front of him. With 8 minutes to go, there's going to be, I reckon, around about 4 laps left in this race. All the cars make their run through the back part of the circuit now. Action's just calmed down just a little bit here. Freddie Slater just pulled the margin to just under 1 second. Around the outside is Gilter. Gilter looked around the outside. Of course, push to pass is a thing in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. When you use that push to pass is beyond me. Freddie Slater, he probably used his push to pass to grab Deligny. Okay, final lap here for Freddie Slater. This time around it will be the final lap. Freddie Slater making his way around 2.1 seconds, that margin. He's just increased it, and DePaulo's still getting pressured by Enzo Deligny, Gilter, and Yamakashi. Sitting just up and behind. Still, once again, getting pressured. 2.4 seconds that margin, but Freddie Slater, Fast Freddie, is about to do it once again. And crosses the line. This time around, I'm going to guess there's going to be a checkered flag, or is this the last lap? This is the final lap of the race for Freddie Slater. 13 laps, and it took him 2.4 seconds for a margin